You showed me how to do exactly what you do, how I fell in love with you. Oh, it's true. Oh, I love you.
Boom, coming in hot, Chinch.
Coming in hot again. This is another smooth jazz edition of the mayor's office, because me and Casey got woken up at like freaking the ass crack of dawn by the boo. Now, here's the thing though, so don't worry, it's gonna be smooth jazz for me and Sean, but we got like a trumpet player because Lambooski is here. So
we're like a baritone, baby.
Yeah, there you go. See everybody. So don't worry, the energy's still gonna be here, right, Case?
I love it, hey, man. Sometimes you got to tag in Lambooski. He comes in freaking full throttle while everyone else is sleeping in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, we don't have time to waste around here. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
All right, Boo, bring us up to date, man. Week 9, what are your takes?
Gentlemen, the first take I have and the first observation, first off, it's good to see you guys. Chinch, I mean, I just love the outfit. You know, Case.
It's because
man,
I didn't have time to put clothes
right now,
on. I didn't have time to put any other clothes on because it's 4:30 in the morning. All right, keep going.
Chinch has no clothes on. He's with his birthday suit under that jacket right there.
Straight Long Island. I just love it. I need it in my life. Thank you, Chinch.
You're welcome.
So, gentlemen, the first observation I have is basically what's going on in Indianapolis. I mean, like a shocking turn of events. Last week, 2 weeks ago, they fired their offensive coordinator because they're just a shell of what we thought they were going to be this year in terms of like offensive line, the quarterback position. So, you know, it comes out Matt Ryan has an injury. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, Matt Ryan's not starting, even if he wasn't injured, because we just want to move on. And again, it's crazy because a week after the offensive coordinator gets fired, Frank Reich gets shown the door. Crazy. And now I love listening to NFL radio, and I listen to Pat Kerwin and Jim Miller on Moving the Chains. It's, to me, the best show of two guys really getting together right now. Now, I do listen to some 33rd Team at 9 o'clock on my way in today, right, because I'm always in work before that comes on. But nice. I get those guys too. But I just love listening to them. And Pat Kerwin was just appalled because of his love for Frank Reich and the fact that the guy's 40 and 33. He's done everything right there you could think of. And this year, it just really didn't work out. And Jim Irsay, if you think about Jim Irsay, gentlemen, he comes with some crazy off the beat type and, leadership at times. And he's had his own issues off the, out of football. And we've heard it, but these owners, man, some of them are just, Jim Irsay has been very lucky to draft Peyton Manning. And then kind of almost the same thing happens where he has just this down year out of no year and he gets Andrew Luck. And so he was blessed with two top tier quarterbacks for a long time. Well, the last couple of years, you try to go get Carson Wentz. You try to go get Matt Ryan, and it just hasn't worked out. And man, he don't have the patience for anything. I mean, it's opposite Pittsburgh Steeler-like, because I always talk about what's going on in my hometown. But Jim just blew it all up, and he's like, you know what? I think in his head, and Chinch, I don't know what you guys talk about, but I'd really, really love to hear about this. Yeah. I think in his head, he just realized, I would rather lose so I get a shot at one of these top quarterbacks next year, because I realize if I don't have a quarterback, I have nothing in this league.
I think you're right, because we have my boy Golden Tate on the night that it happened for Reaction.
Oh, my man Golden Tate. I mean, I freaking love Golden Tate. Okay,
dude,
anyway.
First of all, one of the greatest dudes ever, the nicest guy in the world. He's out on the West Coast. He said, and I'll pseudo quote this, he goes, if I'm on that team right now, this was the day the trade happens, he goes, I am calling my agent and saying, as soon as the next trade window opens, I want out. The day we can make trades again. Because the screwed up part about this is that they waited until after the trade deadline to do this. So none of their players could revolt. They're stuck.
Chinch, we can spend the whole episode on this because it's so fascinating and intriguing to me. And I would love to know what's going on internally there. I mean, you hired Jeff Saturday, who, by the way, I like as a person. The man was coaching high school football. You brought him in to be an intern right now. Yep. Now, granted, you're a 6-time Pro Bowl. Jim Irsay has great relationships with his players. One thing I will say about Jim, but that's great. But you obviously don't have the best relationship with your players right now because you just turned it all over and you basically told those guys, it's over right now, guys, halfway through the season.
Yeah, so I'll ask you a question and you just take it right after that with your waiver wire pickups because these are going to spin right into each other. Number one, is there any viable Colt right now that you would put on your fantasy football roster? If yes, say who. If no, let's get on a waiver wire and start dropping all your Colts guys, and you tell us who to pick up.
No, the answer is Jonathan Taylor if he's healthy, because I just think that he's you have to try to run the ball at least, and they're not going to lay down on Sundays. You know what I mean? They're still going to go out there and play because you don't want to embarrass yourself. Case, I don't know this because I'm a champion. I haven't been on losing teams, but like that culture could be terrible. When you're coming into work every day and you're going to practice and like what. I don't know what's going on over there, but if I had to, I would take Jonathan Taylor and throw him back there, maybe a starting running back depending, but no, I don't want anybody else. I thought Sam Ehlinger was a little bit of a fascinating move because his preseason was unbelievable, but I think we learned like most times preseason's preseason, boys, like this is the real stuff now. And it's fast and it's hard. And when your ownership is not on the same, it's just bad. So moving on. All right, before we get to the waiver wire, and I'll speed it up. I have to talk about the Jets. I mean, that's a week 9 observation that if anybody's not making, you're crazy. Okay, we thought they were what they were. Then they played New England. New England comes in and Bill Belichick does what he does. And then all of a sudden you're facing the Bills and it's like, okay, the Jets are going to start going this way and the Bills are going to start, coming this way. And no, Saleh and the boys are like, I'm still taking receipts, boys. All right. So hand yours in when you get a chance. All right, Case, hand yours in. All right. and oh, by the way, it wasn't just a victory. Like we beat them down. Our defense beat them, beat that big time off. There it is. Okay. And so the defense was impressive. And not only that, they bust up Josh Allen. He's got a UCL. Case. We were baseball players. That's never something you want to hear. What's up?
Dude, he's got UCL, Josh Allen?
Wait, let me hop in on this. I got some info on this from a medical standpoint. This is very interesting, and it involves baseball case. So, bottom line is playing football with a Tommy John injury is different than playing baseball because apparently when throwing a football, you use more of your tricep, so you can actually probably function for the rest of the year without getting the surgery yet. And here's part 2. This is a very strange thing. After he got the injury, Josh Allen, he threw a bomb in the air from air to land, went over 60 yards. It was like one of the furthest thrown balls in the last like 5 years. So it's very interesting. However, at the same time, it's still like when he tries to do those drop down 3/4 and all that stuff, he's not going to be the same quarterback even if he keeps playing.
Also, too, with the UCL, like Tommy John injury, like a big thing that some guys don't even know they have it sometimes. Then you lose an accuracy. So like, wow, ball goes up, ball shoots down. They lose that accuracy. So it'll be interesting to see, man, if that maybe affects his accuracy. Because I remember, I think Roethlisberger had this a few years ago, and he was sailing everything.
Yeah, well, Carson Palmer is like probably the best player that ever had it. Here's the second interesting thing. This is interesting case that Josh Allen was a pitcher in high school. So it's a question of maybe this was building up like, it's the two sport thing. I feel like almost by the time you're Josh Allen, by the time you're a senior in high school, maybe that's when you're not playing 2 sports because you're going to be football. Anyway, okay, but go ahead. Keep going with what you're saying.
And so again, it's fascinating and I appreciate it. And the Jets, the fan base, the organization, it's been a long
they're fired
time. So good for them. Moving right along, obviously Chicago, they didn't win the game, but Justin Fields and 178 yards on the ground, guys, is the most rushing yards by a quarterback since the 1940s. Michael Vick had like 160 set. It's happening for Chicago, and like it's happened fast. And from where we were in the beginning of the season, it is a fascinating story. I mean, Eberflus, like that whole thing, questions, and like sometimes, man, it's just this game is hard. Case the big league baseball, it's hard. When you get up to this level, it is extremely difficult. There are a handful, the percentage of guys that are out there doing it is the most minimal thing we've seen in life, in anywhere. And it takes some time. And Fields, the way he looks now, and the fact that offensively, they're coming at you in Chicago. So that's a great story. On the flip side, there's what's going on. Yes.
I must say though, when I watch football with you on Sundays, you make it look easy the way you yell at the players for 7 hours straight. I'm like, if Boo was playing the NFL, this guy would dominate.
Case, that's the old me. Okay, I say a few things nowadays because I just can't help myself, but I'm not nearly as bad as I used to be. But yeah, right. We all do that. We all yell at the screen, just like when we're watching baseball, we think it's easy and we know it's not. But yeah. And then the opposite of what's happening in Chicago, offensively at least, it was what's happening in Green Bay. I mean, they just lost their 5th straight game, guys, to the Detroit Lions, who we consistently talk about. We love to watch them win, and they won one of those close games, but it was like a way that we've never seen Green Bay lose. Aaron Rodgers throws 3 interceptions, decisions on the goal line, Aiden Hutchinson coming out and intercepting balls that float down there. A guy hits him. It's so out of whack in Green Bay. It's like government stale cheese instead of Wisconsin cheddar. It's incredible. So I don't know what's going on out there. Hey, listen, they've been successful for a very long time. So it's been the opposite right now. And Detroit, who's dead last in pretty much every defensive category you could think of in football, like basically shut them down. So those are my observations for week 8. 9. I'm sorry, 9. Check that. 8+1. All right. So moving right along to the waiver wire, because gentlemen, we ain't got time. All right. We got to roll. All right. So we're rolling into the waiver wire. All right. The first guy I'm going to talk about again is Justin Fields. He's still out there in a couple lists. Last week, he should have been picked up. I'm not going into length at this. If he's out there and you don't scoop him up, you deserve to finish in the middle to last in your leagues. And that's just what it is. All right. The other guys are Daniel Jones and Marcus Mariota. And they're out there in a lot of leagues, and their matchups are pretty good this week. But I got to be honest with you. I've done the Marcus Mariota thing. I've done the Daniel Jones thing for 1 week. That's it. You get one opportunity to perform for me, and I let you go. Of course, Daniel Jones goes out to Seattle. He doesn't throw a touchdown pass. This past week, Marcus Mariota, he does nothing for me. So I say, you know what, guys? I'm back to Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm going back to Tom Brady, for God's sake. All right. Yeah, it hurts. Whoa. But, one thing about Tom Brady, and I will say this, it hasn't been touchdown efficient, but he leads the league in passing yards. So, he's throwing a lot of passes.
That's a very valid point to make, because if you look at the news, you would, for an average person, you wouldn't. I'll tell you right now, I did not know that. I did not know that stat. And I work in football. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Well, I do, Chinch, because that's what I do. Okay, the Lambooski knows some stats. All right, this isn't just fantasy; it's everything, baby. It's football. But he's leading the league in passing yards, so you got to like that. So again, moving on. The one guy that intrigues me that I talked about is Jimmy G that I picked up and I'm starting. And again, Deebo Samuels are getting healthy. He's coming back after the bye week. Okay, Brandon Ayuk started really stepping up and looking good. You got a healthy George Kittle, okay, who we know how good he can be. He just loves to block and is involved in any way you want him on the field. Sometimes he disappears. Oh, and by the way, they got that shiny new toy called Christian McCaffrey, who looks really good in that San Francisco uniform. Guess what? Jimmy, you're in trouble. Dump it off to that guy. Good things happen, okay? I used to tell my quarterback all the time, I say, no, you're looking downfield, man, those tight windows. I'm in the flat. 100 out of 100 times I catch it. And every yard I get, you get in the paper tomorrow. Understand that. So guess what? 5 times a game, 2 times. Beep, right down the lane. Up in there. Hey, we both enjoy that. It's good. It's high percentage. It looks good. Sold them on that. I made a living off that. Anyway.
Hey, Boo, real quick. Is Jimmy G getting some respect now from that organization, or are they going to not, when what's his name comes back, are they going to put Nance?
You know what, Case, I'm going to let this year play out. You know what I mean? Again, they signed him, you know what I mean, to some good money. So, obviously they realize they're a better team right now with Jimmy G. It's just that simple.
They are, dude. They win with him. God, what's going on?
Well, they win with him. And like I said, they made a move that excited everybody. And immediately, Christian McCaffrey came on that field and it was like, okay, wait a minute. This guy is different. The teammate, the jolt of energy in that building is probably incredible. They were all right with Jimmy G, but with Christian McCaffrey and Jimmy G, we'll see how it works out. Now, Jimmy can make a throw here and there that'll make you scratch your head, but what quarterback doesn't besides a true elite? And we don't really put Jimmy in that true elite, but now he has elite talent around him. So let's see what he does.
And they have an offensive-minded genius.
Genius.
So that's why,
scripted genius.
You
so
still
we'll
got,
see what
if you're a Debo owner, by the way, you're still okay. You might even be better because Debo had a couple down games in the beginning, right?
We talked about it, Chimp. Let's just see how it plays out. Because again, the way that Kyle Shanahan could script plays and stuff, like Debo's not going anywhere. The guy's a monster. Okay. Like you find a way to get him and Christian having the ball enough so you win games. And that's really what it's all about. All right. Moving on to the running back group. This group is really thin right now, gentlemen, on the waiver wire. So, you got to kind of be forward thinking here and just basically getting guys that you might be able to plug in, in certain situations. So the Jeff Wilson Jr., okay, similar to Raheem Mostert, comes over from that San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniels, the head coach in Miami, brings over Mostert, and he brings over Jeff Wilson Jr. right at the trade deadline. A lot of people dropped Jeff Wilson as soon as Christian McCaffrey came to San Francisco. So you're looking at Wilson Jr. like, wow, he could have been a scoop last week. Then after this past week, you're like, oh, I better go get him. I mean, he rushes for 51 yards. He catches 3 balls for, I think, 26 yards. It was pretty much an even split with Mostert. Mostert got in the end zone on a 1-yard touchdown, but like Jeff Wilson Jr. looked a little better. And I have a share of Mostert, and I'm like, damn. Raheem, let's go. Like Jeff is coming into town, but they were former teammates, so they'll have a lot of love for each other. And again, if Miami's winning, who cares? You want to hopefully have the guy that's on the right end of a touchdown. And last week, I had him, so I'm happy about that. The next guy is Chuba Hubbard down in Carolina. Before Week 7's injury to Chuba Hubbard, he was actually outpacing Donta Foreman.
Say his name again. Can you say his name again? I like how you say his name. Say it again.
Donta Foreman?
No, Chuba Hubbard. What?
Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard.
All right, sorry.
Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, little Chuba Hubbard. So the Chuba was actually outpacing Foreman. Now, then week 8, Foreman goes off, and Hubbard's injured. So you figured, oh man, here goes. Hey, listen, Wally Pipp, like you ain't got time. Like Foreman is hungry. I talked about Foreman on this show before. The man runs hard. I like what he looks like. Hubbard's been there, kind of came in for McCaffrey when McCaffrey was banged up in years past, but new car in town in Foreman. So, gave him the keys. But last week, not so much success. So that might open the door again for Chuba Hubbard to come in and still get, half the carries. Case cut that out. Anyway, all right, listen, jump in the cold whirlpool and come back if you need to. All right, I ain't playing that game. All right, keep going. Shit. All right. The last guy is Isaiah Pacheco, and again, we've mentioned him, and they gave him the keys to the car right now, but it's just not happening for any running back in Kansas City because they're so past script, and Mahomes is Mahomes, and Andy's going to win however he has to win. If he's got to throw it 50 times or he's run it 50 times, we just haven't seen that run 50 times because the team hasn't really come out to just keep everything underneath. And again, I think Patrick Mahomes has been a little bit more patient this year. Instead of trying to go for that deep over the top route like Tyreek Hill to bang you underneath with Kelsey, who's having a great year, which I love. So it's just not happening for Pacheco and those running backs right now. But I think you remain patient because I still like the way Pacheco runs. I still think he's got fresh legs on the season and he runs hard. And so I think that big game is coming. All right. So let's talk some wide receivers right now. All right. And the first wide receiver I'm going to talk about is Mr. Odell Beckham Jr., guys. Trade deadlines passed. We got some injuries, certain teams looking for wide receivers right now, and he's out there and should be cleared to play this week coming up, or at least cleared to practice or whatever. So I'm not saying he's a plug-and-play guy. I'm saying he's a stash guy. And if you think about fantasy playoffs, 3-4 weeks away, you're thinking, oh, man, this could line up really nicely to a team that really needs him, is going to use him. So you never know what guy's coming off an ACL, but he came off an ACL before and looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. So you hope that it's the same thing, but he's definitely a guy you need to consider because, again, he has the talent. And if with the right team and if somebody's going to throw him the ball, because obviously in Cleveland, for some reason, Baker Mayfield realized, I'm not going to throw this ball, but Matthew Stafford is, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. So just make sure you go to a team that's going to throw the ball. And I think he's a really good plug and play.
I got an option for you of where he's possibly going. Yesterday morning on a radio show, Jerry Jones said, I think he'd look really good with a star on his helmet. Think about him and Dak and those running backs and their wide receivers. Could be good.
Yeah, you know what? Your G-men, too. Your G-men could use...
take him back. I would take him back.
Listen, your G-men, the fans would love him, welcome him back.
Says Sean.
Listen, that would be... And again, now you're talking about two people in a division. Like, who's going to get him? Is it going to be Jerry? Or those guys. So we'll see what happens there. The next guy up, we've talked about again at this show, and it's George Pickens. But this time we're talking about him for a different reason. Last time we talked about him, it was like a good game, then a bad game, and it was really just the Steelers offense. Matt Canada, the quarterback, whoever it was like, stop throwing the same route to the guy every time. You just throw a go route, and you just to the outside and just throw it up to get him. The last game, he had 3 of those targets. He literally came down with 2 with men draped all over him, but one was out of bounds, and one was like, I don't know. They call it incomplete, but He's a seriously good, skilled wide receiver. We all know this by now. It's been the talk of Pittsburgh since the day he walked in. Chase Claypool shipped out to Chicago. So guess what? You got to think that Pickens is going to get more targets now. That's it. So that's the reason for the pickup there. All right. And last guy on the list is Chris Moore out of Houston. All right. Chris had to play last week because Brandon Cooks made some comments and he sat on Sunday because of personal reasons. But like you're questioning the coach and stuff like that, never a good situation. Look at Cam Akers over there in LA if you want to question the coach. So you look at Nico Collins, groin injury, didn't play last week. So Chris Moore had to start out of nowhere, and he catches a touchdown. 4 passes, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Gentlemen, in a desperation play when I need a wide receiver and I had to plug him in, you get me 15 points, I am sending you Christmas cards, all right? That's basically how I feel in fantasy for 15 points out of like a waiver wire, end of the road type guy. So Chris Moore, you got to figure out what happens with Brandon Cooks this week. I don't really know where he's at with the personal stuff. Nico Collins and the groin, I don't know, but Chris Moore came in, looked spry. You could do a lot worse than that guy. All right. Tight end position, again, Mr. Cole Clement and the Chicago Bears. Okay, you finally showed up to the 2022 football season. Thank you, Cole. Okay, we talked about you in the offseason. We talked about all this stuff, and it's like, Cole, like you can be involved in the offense too. Well, now with Justin Fields, the progression, the offense, Claypool kind of running the middle like he was with the Steelers or on the end, opens up the middle of the field a little bit now. Now you got to worry about Mooney. Now you got to worry about Claypool. Now Clement doesn't get as much, attention. Guess what? 4 catches, 40-something yards, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. Okay, on everybody's waiver wire because people forgot about him. So at a tight end position, that's disgusting.
I'll give you another reason why he's on everybody's waiver wire and way under the radar with it. I needed a tight end this week. This morning I looked up and I'm like, all right, let me look. I did some research. I looked at your stats and I love the way the Bears are playing. Yeah. I picked him up despite the fact he is projected for just 5.3 points in my Yahoo league. And that's a PPR league.
Yeah, well, you know what? Tell me who the hell is putting that fucking projection down in Yahoo, and I'll smack him in the face, okay? The bottom line is the Lambooski says pick him up, play him, because that position is so damn bare, okay? Okay, bare, that, like, if you can get somebody that you can guarantee 6 points, just give me the damn 6 points. You get me 10, and I'm singing all the way to the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not worry about Mr. Yahoo, okay? Yahoo my balls, all right? Okay. Again, Cade Otton, Greg Dulcich, those are 2 guys that kind of keep on getting thrown around. They're on the end of the waiver wire train. You could do a lot worse than those guys too. So again, defenses, we love to stream. Let's go over to the other team in New York, opposite our week 9 observations, and talk about the G-Man, baby. I know it's near and dear to your heart, Chinch. So listen, just listen up. All right. Listen, the Giants are coming off a bye week, rested up, good mojo in that building, and they get the Houston Texans. Now, we've talked about the Houston Texans injuries. They're surprisingly every once in a while pretty good on offense. They run the ball with Dameon Pierce, so if the Giants can stack the box and stop Pierce, I think they can get a couple turnovers this week, a couple sacks. It's definitely a situation that I love. You're coming off a bye. You're a good defense. You're facing a bad offense. Yep. Every day, lock it up. Bing, 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 bang. All right. So, gentlemen, that's what I have for the waiver wire.
Beautiful. Wow, dude, you did that in like minutes flat. Good work. All right, so
we're ready.
Wait a minute. Wait, so are you ready? Are we? Is it time for the big reveal? Are we up to the spot?
Well, I don't know. We have one of our partners. You know what I mean? Again, he went AWOL on us.
That's fine.
No big deal.
So is it time?
You know what we're ready for. Go ahead.
What are we ready for? You tell me.
Forget about it, baby.
Let's do it.
Oh, this is what you all been waiting for. All right, so let's get right into it. All right, brother. So first up this week is Mr. Mike Gesicki. Oh, man, Mike Gesicki, you just came off your best game of the year. You know that? You were fantasy relevant for the past 3 weeks. Could you believe that? You had 18 targets over those 3 games. For a tight end, we talk about this position, 18 targets, averaging 6 a game. Come on, you're looking beautiful. Guess what you did this week? 1 catch for 3 yards. Forget about it. Okay? Listen. To this point, okay, it's just so hit and miss in this tight end position that you just got to forget about it. All right, moving on. All right. The next dead on this list happens to be from the same scrap pile of tight ends. Okay. They just keep on coming up one after the other. I'm like, Jesus, Lord, help us, please. But yeah, I'm looking at you, Tyler Higbee. Hey, Tyler Higbee. Once upon a time in this league, earlier in the season, you had targets of 11, 9, 14, 10, and 6. That was your target share at one point, Mr. Tyler Higbee. Guess what this week? You got one target and you didn't catch it. Forget about it. Move on. Forget about it. This guy honestly has disappeared from the offense. I don't know what's going on in LA. Okay. It is not good. And the position stinks to begin with. So you're plugging in Tyler Higbee and you're thinking, all right, man, listen, Tyler, again, 5, 10 points don't kill me. No, the big fat bagel came to town. Okay. Forget about it. All right. Move on. All right. Our third dud this week, okay, is none other than Devin Duvernay. Say however you want. Etienne. Duvernay. Listen, Duvernay, you're the last man standing in Baltimore. You really are. You had Rashad Bateman out. You got Mark Andrews out. You had Gus Edwards out. Okay. You're one of the healthy guys that's actually starting on that team. So you figure it's Monday night, baby. I got Devin Duvernay. I'm the man. Let's go. Finish strong, Devin. One catch for 5 yards. Forget about it. You got to forget about it, okay? Because this guy's not – I don't know what he's going to do for you, man. He's so hit and miss, too, on that team. If not last week, then when, Devin? Forget about it, all right? Now, let's get on to some really, really exciting stuff, okay, gentlemen? All right? Because this is my favorite part of the segment. I get excited. I got my notes here, okay? All right. The first stud on this week, on this side of the tracks, okay, is none other than Mr. Joe Mixon. Guys, if you're paying attention to football, all right? If you know anything, all right? Joe Mixon went off this week. Last week on Monday night in Cleveland, it was an absolute dud when you figured, okay, Joe, you got to bring us to promised land this week. You know, we need you, all right? We got Jamar Chase down. It didn't happen, okay? So all he did this week was go for 153 yards on the ground, gentlemen, and 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Forget about it. Joe, listen, here's the thing. But wait, okay? Because 4 touchdowns and 153 yards on the ground, that's really nice. How about the fact that he caught 4 balls for another 58 yards and a touchdown? Forget about it, Joey, baby. Okay? That's 55 plus points. That could be the highest scoring fantasy week of the year. So obviously, if you had Joe Mixon, you're pretty happy. All right? Moving right along. All right? The next guy up is the guy that was on the other end of this last week, okay, 2 weeks ago, okay, before the bye week, Mr. Davante Adams. Oh, we talked about Davante. We say, hey, Davante, you had 1 catch for 3 yards, but you said, you know what, Big Lambooski, you can shut up your hairy ass, baby, because I'm going to come out with 10 catches, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Forget about it, Davante. Okay, that's beautiful. Hey, listen. I don't like to question Davante because I love the guy as a football player, but you come out and catch 1 catch for 3 yards and you get beat up in New Orleans. It's just bad. So he comes out the next week with 10 for 146. Now, granted, they're up 17-0 and they can't win. So like, that's a whole nother LA, but we're just talking individually. This is our segment called Forget About It. And Davante made us forget about it this week, baby. Let's go. Moving on to our last guy in this segment. And this guy is near and dear to my heart. And literally, he could be on this segment every week, but this week I put him on here for a different reason. His name is none other than Cooper Kupp, the highest fantasy floor in the history of the game at this point. The guy is automatic. But listen, not only did he have a decent week in his terms this week, a 30-point fantasy week, 8 catches for 127 yards and a score, but he did it not practicing all week with a questionable ankle. And anytime somebody's questionable leading into the week, it just scares you. So all week long, I'm thinking, oh man, Coop, you're my guy. I need you. You're questionable. Okay, you're gonna start. Okay, 8 catches, 127 yards, and a 69-yard touchdown for extra points. Forget about it, Coop. Forget it. All right, I love you. I have a man crush on you. You're my favorite player in football. Case, the most beautiful thing about Cooper Kupp is that we picked 8th this year in our 2 big leagues. I love Cooper Kupp, but I also love Derrick Henry. They're my 2 favorite players in fantasy. Okay, I tell you, and I told you this, guys, if you pick them first overall, I'm okay with it. And guess what, Case, in our leagues? Now, our league is designed in a certain way, or both our big leagues, where you get certain points for this, and it's designed over the years. So we've always talked about this. Chinch, know your scoring system, know how your guys score, so you can adjust your draft the way you want. Do you want to know who the number 1 and number 2 scorers in our leagues are, Case?
Cooper Kupp and Derrick Henry.
You're damn right they are, baby. Forget about it, Kate. Yeah, baby. Yeah. So listen, I stare at those guys. Sometimes I'm crazy. I'll sit at work, don't tell anybody, and I'll just pop on the scoring and I'll just stare at those 2 guys. Yeah, that's right. You were 8th overall. I picked you to Big Lambooski, and you're number 1. So again, like if there's a league where it's more, hey, listen, it might not fall that way. You know what I mean? But it falls that way for us. So that's how we draft, and that's how I draft. And I'm very proud to sit there and say, man, those guys are 1-2. As long as they stay healthy, they're going to remain there. I mean, above the quarterbacks, which is crazy. You know what I mean? But we get points for carries, we get points for longer receptions. Like, so those two just are so automatic. You know, I just love watching them play. All right. And that's it for this week, gentlemen.
I got one thing, forget about it. What was that? DJ Moore that made that catch for the Panthers, Hail Mary, took his helmet off, got the 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
They missed the extra point, goes into overtime, bam, kicks the field goal, Falcons win. Forget about it. DJ Moore is that
Easy. Yeah.
We're
good
cleaning
job.
up and be a good teammate. Don't take your helmet off. Those are the rules. Take yourself.
Case, the fact that you got in on the forget about it is the only thing that I could actually take from that and smile, because what you just brought me back to was like that situation. It turns my stomach over. It like, I was watching that live.
I know. I was with you.
I want to go in the locker room. He's smiling, and guys are coming up and dapping him on the sideline. Like, if I'm your teammate, you don't get a dap from me. I come over to you and be like, yo, you fucking serious? Like, listen, seriously. Like, I don't know what guys are like nowadays, but this was me the last time I wore a football uniform. I come right over to you and like, yo, are you serious? You won a 53, homie. You just killed us. Made a phenomenal play, and you're selfish. You're selfish. You know, you take your fucking helmet off so everybody can keep your damn helmet on and run to the sideline. Take it off all you want. You cost us 15 yards, and our asshole kicker. You know, the kickers that I talk about that I hate. He can't make a 40-something yarder now. So now you look like a dummy. And oh, by the way, it's worse.
Yeah.
They won the game. They won the game because they were allowed to, in overtime, actually get on the field.
Falcons won the game, yeah.
They kicked their field goal. So,
Cool.
That situation, forget about it.
All right. Hey, by the way, Case, you're right when you get home back to Pitt and you see Boo this week, here's what you got to do to him.
Too many?
You want to explain what's going on here, Case? What is this?
Yeah. That's Ralphie in Christmas Story. When he swore too much, his mom put soap in his mouth. So Chinch is gonna stop. When I get home Friday, I'm gonna get a big bar of Irish Spring soap right in the Lambooski's mouth.
I might just eat it. I'm so screwed up. Listen, gentlemen, love it. Appreciate you. How we doing, Chinch? How do we make out?
You did. Oh wait, I'll tell you. I always tell Boo, I'm like, keep it tight, man. Let's see what we got. Dirty, dude. If I didn't have that follow up just now, you would have hit 30 on a dot. It's 3150 right now.
Bada boom!
Good job.
You nailed it. You nailed it, brother. You nailed it. Well, there's nothing like the Wednesday edition of the Mayor's Office, which is the Big Lambooski coming in and dropping absolute knowledge on us from fantasy football and football in general.
Exactly.
If you're an NFL fan, bam, tune into the Mayor's Office on Wednesdays, get Lambooski's knowledge, and let's go.
Let's go. And by the way, I have like 9 hours before anybody's awake. I might go do next year's taxes or something.
Oh, my man.
All right,
Listen,
boys.
appreciate
Great job,
you guys,
bro.
man.
Great
love
job.
you.
All right, James, love you, man. See you tomorrow.
Love you guys.
See you, Boo. Have a great day.
Boys.